Hello everyone, my name is Nima. I work with Mr. J. Chauhan at his office, J. Chauhan Law Office in Richmond Hill, Ontario. Mr. Chauhan heads the Angel Mentorship Group, which helps new graduates set up practice. He has a consultory role in the group. He has practiced for over 40 years in Richmond Hill and has been a deputy judge for 24 years and is now retired deputy judge and is doing a series of CPD seminars on topics that may relate to starting a practice and maintaining a practice. Mr. Chauhan, hello, how are you doing?
Great, great. Thank you for the introduction, Nima.
Thank you very much. I thought I'd talk to you today about a practical matter, and that is simply opening a file, a new file. Some of the files, of course, as we've seen, are in need of greater organization. How is it that we can open a file effectively to keep it organized?
Good question, Nima. We have Navdeep here, who is an articling student, and I saw how even when a student has gone through all the examinations, NCA or local graduate, and they're launching their experience as articling student or even called to the bar, my observation in many situations in the Angel Mentorship Group that I have taught in is that the basic, very basic parts of how to open a file are very often missed out, actually. So in this video, very short video, I just want to explain actually that what are the basic ideas that we should keep in mind in opening a file. And they may look very trite, very simple, but they're very fundamental to avoid any negligence, avoid any errors, and to ensure that our role as a lawyer is carried out thoroughly in keeping records of the files that we open and keep the records in the file. So firstly, I just want to explain to you that the physical file folder is a legal size folder that we have that typically I use. And most of the documentation over the years has become letter size instead of the legal size that is still being used in real estate. So the longer legal size folder is more appropriate in most situations. So the first thing to keep in mind when you open the file is to have a client intake checklist that will show the address of the client, and these days we also need the email address of the client as well, because a lot of the communication will happen by email, full address, and then telephone number, etc., which is kept in the client intake form, which I staple on the left side as you see here. Then as soon as the file is open, there should be a retainer actually. In my opinion, the retainer is fundamental in terms of the lawyer's role, because when the client, a file is opened, immediately there should be a thought given right in the meeting itself with the client to identify what issues you will be dealing with and what is the client's expectation and how will the fees be dealt with. These issues will be addressed in a retainer, and every file should have a retainer, and it is, I keep it in the back, as you see here, stapled, and have the client, that way you always remember actually that the client has to sign it, you have thought about it, you identified the issue, and some parts of the retainer may be standardized, such as documents, the hourly rate, etc. But the key issue, what the client wants the lawyer to do, should be identified in the beginning of the retainer and stapled at the back of the file. Then here is the correspondence. So I prefer to keep the correspondence all in one fastener together from bottom to top, and each one neatly in the same position so that the paper is not all over the place, and the papers are kept together with a one-hole punch. And if you're looking at the file in the future to identify a letter or correspondence, it's all in one place. In a litigation file, you would have the pleadings from bottom to top so that if you look at the file and want to see where the file is at, it should be possible to see the sequence in which the pleadings were filed, and they're from bottom to top, and the last pleading will be on the very top of the bundle. So the pleadings are not fastened together, and it would be better to have something like a paper clip that can basically, here is a paper clip, and it can put the bundle together, and you may be using the documents of the pleadings in a motion and photocopy, and therefore they're not a part of the document which are fastened together like correspondence. And then if you have evidence, a document, for example, an agreement, or something of that nature that might be used in the court, or to be used to communicate with the other lawyer, there'll be a separate bundle also, which I keep on the top. I prefer the labels absolutely clear, so that if you fold the file and look at the label, the label on the top, it says the client name and the re-portion where you've identified the issue in 1 or 2 words, so that if the file is in a filing cabinet, you can reach it immediately without looking for it. Very often, the file folder, as you'll see, has certain grooves here, so that if the file gets thicker, you can still make sure that the upper portion of the folder is bent, and you have more documents inside the file, and the label at the back is not blocked. So these are very basic principles that I am amazed that a person starting practice, you would think that in a medical school, if you were doing something as a procedure on a patient, you would know exactly what to do, what instrument to use. But somehow in the law school, the tradition seems to be that we are above and beyond these basics of the physical things in the file. But in my view, it is fundamentally important. So this is a part of the series that I would like to do for our Ontario profession through the Angel Mentorship Group, where we're training students, but we're training the students not only for articling, but also in terms of how to launch a practice. Thank you.
Great, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.